Hey friend, I'm hanging out here with the girl with the guitar case, our lovely Cord, because she's got an audience, and you're my audience today. And I want to talk about a topic, and I hope you don't mind, but I've been taking notes during the streams and taking notes on the comments on the videos to see what are the, common things people are asking. And this is all in an effort to make sure I'm giving you what you need. And something that I've seen a lot of, and this goes both ways, is whether or not someone should duplicate out or, awaken characters and or weapons. Less of a question on the weapons, mostly on the characters. And there's been a couple that, have kind of suggested, hey, I disagree with you. I think you should really be pushing for A1, 2, 3, up through the ranks. And that's fine. I'm not here to say someone's right or wrong. As always, I advocate that you play your game. Don't play my game. Don't play some other streamer's game. Play the game you want to have fun. But it does bring up the topic of, why am I not necessarily pushing or recommending a ton of A1s, A2s? What I usually, ask or respond with, hey, I think you should go for horizontal roster growth. And what I mean by horizontal roster growth is more characters and less, awakenings within a character. I'll show you a couple things here. My An, you could argue, is fairly well awakened because I keep pulling her. Meanwhile, I'll have somebody else that has, no awakenings, and trying to think of someone I would show that would have that, Joker, case in point, our special banner unit. I've not gotten a awakening on him, even though I can, look at it and tell you that an A1 is a power spike for our friend here. Increases skill damage dealt to main target by 30% and others by 10%. I mean, that is just a flat increase. And, the first thing I'll say is every single time you awaken a character, every single time you awaken a weapon or get a 5-star weapon, because sometimes I don't even recommend a 5-star weapon, every time you do that, you are getting stronger. There is not a single point in time that I would dispute or say that you're not getting stronger when you increase these characters, when you increase their weapons or pull their 5-stars and increase them. So why is it? Why is it that I'm not telling you to then, pick a person and go all in and run them all the way to the max? Well, I think the question that most people forget to ask when they say that is, well, why? Why do I need that? Why do I need an A6 on? Why do I need an A6 Joker? Or why do I even need an A1 Joker? And again, we're just going to step aside from the favorites conversation because I'm going to tell you to do whatever you want for your favorites. And you know that about me by now. But why do you want it? What is the content that you need it for? I've played on KR, for quite some time, and I really have not run into situations where I needed an A1. I needed an, rank whatever weapon. There's been times when I've wanted them. There's been times that I wanted it. I've wanted Violet's weapon for a long time after I pulled her and didn't get her weapon, and then I ended up getting it later. But I played her for months with just her 4-star weapon, and I was fine. I still did what I wanted to do with her. Would I have been more powerful? Yes. And so today I'm going to step back, and I'm going to help you answer that, why you want it, why you might, feel like you need it, and where is it actually going to be useful. So let's take a look at our content, because we use our characters in content, right? So if we get away from the collector's path, what are we getting in here? So first you have mementos. Mementos itself, you're only ever going to come across a couple of challenging bosses in here. And when I say challenging, I just mean either they have mechanics that you have to read and work around. And yes, sometimes you can, juice up your levels, juice up your artifacts, and, having a A6 would make you kind of brute force it. But in those situations, you can also just play with the mechanics. Matador is a great example in, I think it's, the first area, towards the end or something. Maybe it's area 2. And I was doing this on stream, and it all came down to using the mechanics it wanted you to use for him. I did that fight at level 30, and it was a level 38 fight. And so that was just by following the mechanics. Now, obviously, if I had leveled up, it would have been easier. And for the other 2 Matadors, to make it not take forever, I did level up and then go back. I went to level 35 and then fought them. But a lot of the hard fights in this game are just mechanics based. They're not necessarily a raw damage output. Now, there are a couple that you're going to run into in Mementos that I remember, kind of like the mini sub-platform bosses, that power spikes will definitely help you. But the power spike you can simply get, and this is true for all content, by coming in here and making sure that you are fully leveled up for the level bracket you're in. So whenever you hit, you know, a level 10, 20, 30 with Wonder, you can then level your personas and their weapons up an additional 10 levels. You don't have to, but you can, and you've probably noticed by now you get very little XP by fighting enemies. And so when you get those opportunities, like I'm almost level 40, level your characters up to that next level 10 increment. That's going to increase all their flat stats and just bring so much power into your team without having to have pulled a duplicate, without having to have pulled a weapon. So always make sure you're doing that. And then you also have your revelation cards. I keep calling them artifacts, so apologies for that. And you're gonna see, like, I've already started just throwing on whatever for Joker. A couple are leveled because of the quest in the book, but start working on these. You don't have to take them crazy, but there's been times on my KR accounts where all I did was then push a couple cards up to like level 10 on my DPS and boom, beat it, right? Again, yes, would have been easier if I had an A1, but it wasn't necessary. And I think there's a difference in that statement there. Then you have, you know, palaces. Palaces are basically the same thing as mementos. You have a couple challenging, you know, bosses, and you have the final boss of whatever palace you're in. The final boss, I think, is going to be, if not your hardest fight, you know, close to the hardest fight in any given palace. And those ones, I would still push for the, you know, love your character, your weapons, check your cards, maybe upgrade your cards if you're in the end of Palace 3, which obviously we don't even have yet. But otherwise, I still have yet to find I have to have an A1 for somebody. Realm of Repression, this is just your dailies, just forget about that altogether. So for none of this stuff up here, I think you need anything, you know, A1, A2, A3. So your Y would just simply be you want it. That's it. So where can you actually use that power? Where would it make a difference in the content the most? Okay, besides just shaving a turn or two off of like a Velvet Trial or whatever. Well, that's going to be your two score modes. So you have your guild boss, I'll open that up soon, and you have Sea of Souls. These work very similar. You're basically trying to do the most damage, you know, during the phase of the battle to pump your score up while playing into mechanics. So that's the first thing, is these do have mechanics. So if I look at, for example, this here, it's basically going to tell me that I want to hit weakness damage and I want to build these Seal of Power stacks. And, you know, I can't crit, but I get increased final damage based off of this, you know, formula here. You can read it at your own leisure. And as long as I'm playing into those mechanics, I'm already going to be juicing up my score. So first of all, you could have an A6 whoever. If you're not playing into the mechanics, you're already decreasing your score. So you have to play the mechanics. Then, yes, this is where I will say every A rank or every weapon, 5-star weapon plus its ranks, is going to let you hit harder. That is undisputable. If I run my Joker next to your Joker, we're both level 50, we have the same card sets, and you're an A6 and I'm an A0, you will do more damage. That's it. That's the truth of it. Now, I'm going to tell you a very hard truth, is when the game gets more mature. Not so much now. I think right now is your best time to push scores if that's really what you want to do. But when the game gets more mature, you're going to be going against rankings of people that are spending a lot of money. First of all, if you're not spending any money at all, it's going to become harder and harder to push these scores. I actually see some of my guildmates are in this list. It's pretty fun. Hey, Goose. And so, you know, if I look through these lists, right now a lot of these people are probably not wailing out. Maybe you got a couple of them. But a lot of people are here because it's early game. A lot of people are saving money for bigger units like Cord. But eventually, this list is going to have people that are spending a lot of money. So then I challenge and ask you this. Is your why I want to have A6, why I want to have a weapon rank 6, is it because you love the character? Yes, go do it. Have your fun. Is it because you want to push leaderboards? If yes, how far are you willing to go for that? Are you going to be happy or are you going to be upset if you go out and build your A6 Joker right now, but then you can't build an A6 Yui or an A6 Cord or an A6 Fox or whoever, pick your poison, whatever the content cycle is, and somebody else next to you, your top 10, 20, 30, or possibly even your top 100 at the final ranking of all these scores, what if they are? You know, if you can't get all the way to the top of these leaderboards, which is what I think 8, if you can't be up in this top 2 to 10%, is that defining your happiness? For me personally, and again, it's okay if it is, I'm not against that. For me personally, my happiness is saying I've got the character I want. I've got an ability to bring different rosters to different game modes. For example, when Astro Glow comes out later, I've talked about this before, that requires a lot of different units. I personally like to have that breadth of characters so that I can kind of approach any situation. And then I challenge myself to be the best I can be with that limitation, because I know, and I'm a Gacha veteran, and a lot of us are, but I know that in the Gacha space, you aren't beating whales. I'm sorry, it is a harsh truth, but if you're trying to go default style here, or even like A1 and 2, you're not going to beat the person that has spent $1,000 to get A6 everything. And so don't let that chase define you. Don't let that chase define your gameplay. I think that from a pure, am I having fun standpoint, you don't need the duplicates. There are some, and I will tell you in my guides, you're going to find a couple places where I tell you they're super helpful. I'll give you my spoilers. I will likely go for an A1 Futaba. I will likely go for an A1 Cord, and I will likely go for an A1 Anj, and I would heavily hope to get an A1 Chinese New Year Rin. Those are ones where I look at the A1 and I see something that I really like about it, enough so that I like the way it defines the character. But that's 4 characters out of our entire roster. Maybe there's a couple others I'll see, and there's ultimately going to be more later, but my fun isn't because I'm trying to challenge the leaderboards on the 2 modes that have them. My fun is because I just like the way it expands their kit, right? So for that reason, I think it's worth it for me personally. And so I want you to take a step back before you fill it well up like, oh, no, Bear's wrong. They're more powerful if you get A6 and I can do this thing. I'm not disputing that. You are 100% correct, and I'm okay with that. They are more powerful every time you rank them up. They're more powerful every time you get the weapon and rank the weapon up. But I want you to take the step back. Ask yourself why. And ask yourself, if you don't have it, are you having less fun? And if you do have it, are you having more fun? And then base your decision around fun. It's a video game. It's a Persona game. It's a beautiful game. I love this thing. Do it for fun. You don't have to chase it. You're not wrong in either of those situations. You're more powerful with it, but you're not unable to play the character, and it's not going to destroy the game without it. And you're not going to brick your account if you don't chase down A4 on or A2 Joker. Like, you're going to be fine. So more of a PSA, less of a guide. You'll see in the different character guides where I tell you what the A rankings do when you waking them up or whatever. You can also check the characters if you don't know. You can actually see this in game. So I can come into cattle, I can go into training, I can go into awareness, and then click up here. And you can, this is how I do it for the videos. You just kind of scroll through. Just be careful. A couple of these are mistranslated. Like I think On's A2 is maybe mistranslated. But regardless, they'll fix that. You can check these out, and you can kind of sit back and say, you know what? That sounds like the most fun thing ever. I'm going to chase it down. And on your standards, just so you're aware, your standard characters, you tend to get a lot of the duplicates over time. I have managed, I was joking about this in a community post, I am at one away from maxing out my puppet. I am so tempted to buy the $5 pack just because, but this is all just randomly pulled. So, your standard characters, you may just get them anyways, so just be careful with chasing standards. I don't usually recommend chasing standards unless it's a favorite. So that's it. That's a little bit of dad talk for you. This is me sitting back and saying, hey, I don't want people to walk down a path that leaves them unhappy. Do it if it's fun for you. Don't do it because a streamer said to do it. Don't do it just for the hell of it, because you think it's going to give you some giant power spike. Sit back and look at what you've done these last, though I guess not even a week yet, this last week, and ask yourself, did not having an A1 limit you? Did not having an A4 limit you? Were you able to overcome that challenge without, max duping out somebody or even getting one duplicate for that person? And just look at it from that perspective. And then if you really want to push those scores, have at it. If you're topping leaderboards, I would love for you to show that to me in our chat. I love that kind of stuff. We're talking about in the guild chat right now if you want to join us. And so, those things are all fine, but do it for you. Do not do it for someone else, and do not do it because a streamer told you to. Don't do things because I tell you to, okay? I'm just giving you information for you to make informed decisions. That's it, my friends. Soapbox. I'm gonna step off my soapbox here. I'm gonna take the dad hat off. I'm gonna go be a gamer for a couple hours, hopefully stream here in the next day or two. And with that, until I see you on our next video or stream, please take care of yourselves.